She traded her voice for love and lost herself to the sea. Beneath the endless waves, where sunlight turned to whispers, there lived a kingdom forgotten by men, a kingdom of silence, beauty, and sorrow, ruled by the sea, and guarded by the songs of mermaids. Among them was the youngest daughter, a girl with eyes like dawn and hair like the color of deep water. She loved stories of the world above, of stars that never drowned and people who could walk under the sky. Each night she swam upward, breaking the surface to watch ships drift like dreams across the horizon. Her heart ached for a life she had never lived, for air, for touch, for the warmth of sunlight on skin. On her 15th birthday, she rose to the surface under a sky filled with falling stars. There, in the distance, a ship glowed with light and laughter music spilling across the waves. She watched from behind the foam, her heart trembling as she saw a young prince on the deck. He was smiling, the kind of smile that makes even the sea hold its breath. Then the wind turned, the storm rose like a scream from the deep. Lightning cracked open the sky, and the ship shattered against the black waves. The prince fell sinking, silent, into the cold arms of the ocean. Without thought, she swam after him, faster than fear, deeper than light. She held him close, her tail wrapping around his body, her heart beating against his still chest. Through the night, she kept him afloat, whispering songs he would never hear. When dawn came, she carried him to shore, laying him upon the sand where the waves kissed his hands. She watched him breathe again, sunlight touching his face like a blessing. Then she slipped back into the sea, leaving only her shadow in the foam. That day, she learned the cruel truth of love, to give everything and remain unseen. From that moment, she could no longer sing. Every melody she knew tasted like his name. Every night, she rose to the same shore, hoping to see him once more. She saw his palace in the distance, the lights flickering like stars she could never touch. He walked the gardens, spoke to the sea, and sometimes she thought he was listening. But love is cruel when it belongs to one heart alone. Her sisters warned her, forget him. The sea does not forgive those who dream of air. Yet she could not stop. Longing had become her tide, and it pulled her upward, always upward. One night, she swam to the forbidden trench, where the sea witch dwelled. The water grew cold, heavy with secrets. The light disappeared behind her. She entered the cave of bones and whispers, where dreams came true, and lives were lost. The witch smiled with teeth like pearls stolen from the dead. I know what you want, she said, and I know what it will cost. Your voice, the song that could melt the sea itself. You will give it to me, and in return, I will give you legs, fragile, bleeding, human legs. But every step will burn like fire. Every breath will remind you you don't belong. And if the prince loves another, your heart will break and your body will become foam at dawn. The little mermaid looked down, her eyes trembling, but she nodded, because love, to her, was worth every pain. The witch laughed and the sea trembled as the deal was made. The potion burned her throat like salt and thunder. She sank into darkness, her tail splitting apart, her song torn from her chest. When she awoke, she was lying on the sand, trembling, gasping, human. The waves touched her feet for the first time, and pain shot through her like lightning. But when she looked up, she saw him, the prince, standing against the morning sun. He found her there, voiceless and fragile, and carried her to his palace by the sea. She could not speak, but her eyes told stories no words could hold. He smiled at her kindness, at her laughter without sound. He said she reminded him of someone, the girl who saved him that night. The mermaid's heart broke quietly. He did not know it was her, but she stayed by his side, walking through fire with every step, bleeding behind every smile. At night, she would dance for him, graceful, radiant, and dying inside. Her tears tasted like the sea she left behind. Sometimes, when he looked out to the ocean, she wished he could see her, the real her, but he only saw waves, never the girl who gave him her voice. Still, she smiled because loving him, even in silence, felt better than breathing without him. Days passed, seasons turned, and she grew weaker, though she never complained. Then came the day he was to sail away to another kingdom, to meet a princess. He told her gently, "You remind me of her, the one who saved my life." Her lips trembled, but no sound came. She wanted to say, "It was me," but love had taken her voice long ago. She followed him on that voyage, the sea whispering warnings she refused to hear. At the royal harbor, the princess waited, her eyes kind, her smile familiar. The mermaid's heart froze. It was her, the girl from the temple. The prince ran to her, joy breaking through his face like sunrise after storm. That night, the mermaid stood by the railing, watching fireworks bloom above the sea. The ship shone with laughter and love she could never touch. Her feet burned with every heartbeat. Her soul begged for mercy. And still, she smiled because he was happy. That smile was her last gift to him, the last lie she told her heart. As midnight fell, her sisters rose from the sea, their hair floating like silver in the moonlight. They held a knife of crystal bought with their own hair, paid in tears. "Take it," they said, "kill him before dawn, and you will return to us. His blood will wash your curse away. You can come home." The mermaid stared at the knife and the reflection of his sleeping face in the blade. She walked into the cabin, silent as the sea at rest. He slept beside the princess, hand in hand, dreaming of forever. Her tears fell onto the floor, salt meeting salt. She raised the knife, her hands shaking, love and death tangled between her fingers. Then she dropped it, letting it fall back into the sea that once called her home. The blade sank beneath the waves, swallowed by the darkness below. She stood there, trembling, watching the first light of dawn spill across the sky. The sea called her name, gentle now, like a mother forgiving her child. She climbed to the railing, her white dress fluttering like a dying flame. One last time, she looked at him, the man who had her heart, her voice, her soul. He slept peacefully, dreaming beside another. She smiled through her tears, a smile no one would remember, but the sea would never forget. And then she jumped. The water embraced her like an old friend, cold and endless. Pain faded, her body dissolved into foam, white and silent beneath the rising sun. The waves carried her across the horizon where the sky met eternity. But she did not vanish, not completely. Her spirit rose with the morning breeze, light as mist, free as song. She looked back at the ship, at the prince, at the life she could never have, and whispered, "Love was enough." The wind carried her words across the ocean, brushing against his cheek as he woke. He turned toward the sea, hearing nothing, feeling everything. Some say he heard a sigh in the waves, soft and sorrowful. Others say the sea shimmered brighter that morning, as if smiling through tears. The kingdom went on. The ships kept sailing, the waves kept singing, and deep beneath, where no light reached, her sisters still waited, listening for her song. But the sea had taken it. Her song now belonged to the wind. It drifted through storms and sunsets, whispering of a love that burned too bright. Sometimes, sailors say they hear it, a soft voice humming beneath the waves, a song without words, a promise without end. They say if you listen long enough, the sea will tell you her story, about the girl who gave everything for love and found peace in letting go. The waves still remember her name, though time has forgotten her face. And when the wind sighs through the sails, it carries her final truth, that love, even when it hurts, even when it ends, was never wasted. For love, real love, always finds its way back to the sea.